Hey guys! Today I'm gonna show you how you can build a €700 PC. Since a long time I wanted to build a more powerful PC so that I can run games on it and programs. Since I began working and operating computers, I had laptops, and laptops usually aren't very powerful. Fixed PCs are not as practical as laptops, by the fact that they are not great for transport, but on the other side they can be much more powerful. So I evaluated how much power I would need from every component, and I searched the whole internet to the best parts for the least amount of money. Of course, I wasn't looking for the cheapest parts, I looked for middle price stuff. Now, I will go deeper into each part of the PC, the pros and the cons of all the components, and I will tell you about the reason why I chose this component. Of course, every component is listed down in the description, both in amazon.it and amazon.com. So briefly, I will explain which components you have to buy if you want to build a PC. The first part is one of the most important parts, and it is the CPU. It's the main brain of our PC. Here I have an Intel Core i3 6100 processor. It has 3 megabit of cache. It has a rate of 3.70 GHz. This is how a CPU looks like. It's a small platinum, and this here comes with a little fan. This is a Skylake CPU, and it has hyperthreads. Hyperthreads means this has 2 physical cores and 4 hyperthreads. The CPU will be attached to the main board, and the main board is the part where all our hardware will be plugged in. For my build, I have a micro ATX. The ATX stands for how big the motherboard is. We have micro ATX, mini ATX, which is a bit larger, and then I think we have ATX, which is much larger. In order to fit in our case, which comes later, we have to take micro ATX. We have to make sure that our socket, the CPU socket, is the same as the CPU is provided. So the Intel i3 6100 processor has a 1151 socket. Next we have the PSU, which stands for power supply. Our PC needs power, obviously, and this is a Corsair. It's a very good quality power supply. I chose the 550 watt, and I will explain later on how you calculate how much watt your PC needs. Next we have our case. Mainly the case is here for the aesthetic of our PC, but it's also here to protect the inside hardware and to cool the hardware. I took the Thermaltake Cube Case Core V21, and what I like about this case, it's quite small. It looks interesting with its cube form. Every panel on the side is interchangeable with every other panel because it's a perfect cube. We have also some dust filters. This is very important, so the dust doesn't come into your hardware. And, in here we have a 200mm fan. The fan is very important aspect because it cools your PC. The parts will get hot, and so we have a 200mm driver, which is almost as big as the front face of the case and should provide a decent amount of airflow. Another very important part of our hardware is the RAM, which stands for Random Access Memory, and it's the part of the data which is saved for a short amount of time in which the PC is turned on. For example, if I open the browser, it stays open because the RAM, I chose the ballistics ports, 8GB, DDR4. DDR4 is how fast it saves the data. This also is the speed, and you can compare it with our CPU, which supports up to 2133 MHz. We have 2400 here, so we can max out the whole power of our CPU. Next, we need a place where we can store all of our data. I chose a hard drive with 1 TB. It's a medium speed, and they are mainly just for storage, and you get the faster ones, which are more expensive. You can use a hard drive, which is slower than an SSD, but it's much cheaper, especially if you need storage space, like I do. The next is our graphic cards, and it's needed mostly to play games. I have the GeForce GTX 770, which nowadays doesn't get sold anymore. A friend of mine sold me his GPU because he wanted to upgrade his PC. For example, the NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1050 Ti overclocked, has the same specs as the 770, so you get the same power as I do. It's provided with 2 fans because it will get very hot during gaming. And if someone wants to go over the 750 budget, you can also buy the 1060, which is more powerful if you wish. To make sure your PC functions properly in the best range as it can, you can do a few online tests. You can test the compatibility of your hardware with a website, for example PC Part Picker. You can insert your hardware and it will give you the result if it fits together or not. If a socket doesn't fit with another socket, if the main board doesn't work together with your CPU. I recommend to do this test before buying your parts, so that you can make sure that your parts will function together. As I said before, when you choose your PSU, you have to make sure that it fits with the hardware you have in your PC. There is hardware, especially graphic cards or CPUs, which require more and more power, and if the PSU is too weak for the power, the PC will shut down. In here you can again insert the whole parts you have. It will calculate how much power is required to run your system properly. And so if you plan to build a more powerful PC, you can also take another version of the Corsair. Another test which is important to do is the Bottleneck Test. The bottleneck is usually the weakest point of a body. So every PC has its weakest point. For example, you can take the most powerful CPU and a very low power mainboard, for example. The mainboard will work with the CPU, but the CPU cannot bring all the power it has to the PC, so the spare power is unused. The other parts you will need for your PC. You will need a monitor. I chose the Samsung 24-inch monitor. It's 1080p Full HD. 24 inches is the most used monitor by computer users. Next we need a mouse. I chose this mouse here. This is a gaming mouse. It has some other functions like double click. You can personalize your DPI, and it has some LED which I like. Speaking of LED, I also wanted to search for an LED keyboard. I did a research and I found the Skiller Pro Plus, and it also has some macro keys. So it's on the left side of the keyboard. To connect the PC to your monitor, you will have to buy a HDMI cable. This, for example, is a very good quality one, and it looks very good. The next one is an optional, depends on what you already have. This monitor, this is in the description, doesn't have a power output, and the PC neither. So you will get to take some headphones or some speakers, and I, for example, chose the Logitech Z313. It has 2 speakers and a subwoofer. It's loud enough for one room, and it's really loud enough if you have neighbors. The next is a Wi-Fi module. If you want to connect your PC to the internet with Wi-Fi, you can take this module. It's a PCI Express, and you plug it directly into your motherboard. If you have listed everything you need, you are ready to build your own PC. And again, if you want to build the same PC as I did, I already did the Compitability Test, the Bottleneck Test, and the PSU Test. So if you buy those components, it should work for sure. If you want to see how to assemble a PC, down in the description and here I will link my video where I put together my PC. Next one, I will do some benchmarks. I have Heaven benchmark, and I will play it with the standard GPU settings, and I will overclock the GPU. So for the benchmark I use Heaven benchmark 4.0 with the standard GPU setting. And we get as a result the average FPS is 71.1 and the overall score is 1790. So now let's go into MSI Afterburner and I overclock my GPU. I will explain in another video how you overclock your graphics card, and let's run the benchmark again. This time we have 73.1 average FPS and an overall score of 1842. We have an improvement of over 50 points on our final score and a few FPS. So remember, all pieces of this PC are interchangeable. You can improve, you can take pieces which are powerful, more powerful than this here. They will be more expensive, and before you buy them, do the 3 tests. If you just got interested in building your own PC for less than 700 euros, I've listed all the components in the description below. Feel free to leave a comment in the case of some doubts or questions. Consider subscribing if you want to see more. In next week's video I'm gonna bring the GPU to the limit. I'm gonna overclock it and try what performance I get on different games. So stay tuned